Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the North East Non-League Show, sponsored by DJ Private Hire, Gateway and County Services Limited, Elite Goalkeeper Academy, Motor 8, and Danny Lay Plumbing and Heating Services. Tonight is our final show of the season, before a nice 6-week break before we come back ready for next season as well. And like I said before, we planned on the show. We had to get a big guest in. I think we've topped that, Stephen, haven't we? We've got the biggest guest on going in the North East.
I'll be the last on your list. I'll tell you now, everybody will drop out.
Honestly, the first name I saw for who can get on the last show, and it was yourself. So really looking forward to this one. But tonight it is our looking back with going over a career, and tonight it is Stephen Stewart. But no, Stephen, thank you very much for coming on the show tonight.
No problem, no problem. If it's about trophies, man, this will be a short podcast.
But many good stories, I can imagine. Before we get on adult football, we always kind of talk about the youth, and obviously I know it's quite big now in the area. And what was it like for yourself in youth football? How did it all start out for yourself?
Well, I had it, to be honest, I had a kind of good youth there in terms of football wise. School teams, you won quite a lot. Son of boys and stuff like that. It was I won quite a bit when I was younger. It's just when I got older I won out. But I ended up like Hilda Park through Chester Street. A lad called Ron Bourne got us through there. Because I used to play obviously through Sunderland where I'm from, and I ended up going over to Hilda Park, and that's when I got picked up with Middlesbrough School of Excellence, and that's sort of where I finished my youth on through Middlesbrough and Hilda Park.
Really good. And starting out at Mariah as a teenager and then Sunderland Nissan, how was those early days, obviously coming into adult football normally? What was it like them early days for yourself?
Well, I had a year out when I was like 17. My dad suggested that I have a year out because I was getting like trials of clubs and stuff like that, and it wasn't really happening. And I was quite like small and slim, and everybody who was getting at that age was like tall and they were getting picked up. And it was a case like back then. There was a case of like anybody small or slight or whatever, they never really looked at it. It was all tall, big, and what have you. So I had a year out, probably the wrong decision, like, but it was my dad's choice. Because, like, at that age, 17, sort of coming on to 18, that's when you sort of get picked up and stuff. But I had a year out, and then I just came back, and I went to play for RCW with Alan Thompson and Ray Hartley, who great local lads. And Alan Thompson obviously died a few years ago. God bless his soul. But I went there with my brother, and it was good. We enjoyed it. It was a good side. I think it was the Wayside League we were in. And we played on the wings, and like he's probably quicker than what I was. So we played there for a season and a bit, I think. And I think me and my brother went to Sheffield from there. Ray Hartley got us to Sheffield on like a trial, and that's where I met Gary Pearson. But I was stayed there for a little bit, and then I'm not sure, my memory's hazy. Like I think I went to Nissan from there because one of my friends who I played with on a Sunday got us a job there, and it was if you got a job there, you had to play for them. So that's when I moved to I think it was Sunderland Nissan then years ago, and that's when I sort of progressed up to that level, just getting back into men's football, really, because I started to grow a little bit, and I think my dad was probably worried that I would get kicked a bit in the men's league, going from youth football into the men's league, and I was like quite slight, and it was probably the right decision, but it was probably a bad time to have a year out, I think, and I remind him of it all the time. So I went to Nissan with I'm saying that, so I went to Nissan through work, and I played under Stan Fennick, and played with the likes of Tommy Owens, Rafi Owens, Gary Courtsworth, who was like Leicester, great player. We had a good side, but it was a kind of transition from like youth, and then from RCW and then to Nissan, where it was tough.
I was going to say with the chain room as well and the banter. I mean, one of the things I love about these looking back with, you put on who's coming on, and the banter on the social media, the Facebook, who's coming on, and all players that you've played with, commenting and stuff like that, all having a joke, but it's all good banter. That's kind of what you miss when you pack in football. But I think kind of going in early at that young age, what was it like, the chain room and the banter at a young age in that league?
See, when I was younger, I was quite quiet, believe it or not. It was when I got older that I'm loud and like ridiculous. But when I was younger, I was quite quiet. But when you were young and coming into like a side with like big character, Tommy Owens at Nissan was a big character. Young Paul Robbo was there, and Ralphie Owens, and then you just sort of get a bit of a shock when you got into the men's changing room and when you were a kid. But it was probably when I got older, when I was starting to like sort of come out your shell a bit. But that's normal when you're a young kid coming into a dressing room like that. They were just loud. In the showers, you were like fearing your life, really. Like with someone would be like sitting in the corner carrying like that. But it was good. It was a good experience, and it hardens you up to further when you go further in your career. Like,
yeah, exactly. I think obviously being now involved in the management side of things, do you think it's now different with the young lads that's coming through? Obviously, you can get a lot away back in the past with like jokes and kind of pranks that you play on players, but you can't really do it now. Do you think?
I think you've got to be careful now. I think it was different then. You used to get properly abused. You know what I mean? Like picked on, but that was just like the way to get you into the side. You know what I mean? To make you feel welcome, sort of thing. But I think it's a little bit different now. Like you've got to. There's different cultures coming into your dressing room. You've got to just be careful, like things you see and what you do. And it's a little bit different now. And the young ones nowadays are different to the young ones when I was young. You know, it's like they're a lot quieter. You know, like they're not going out on the drink all the time. It's like years ago, it was like there was a drinking culture sort of thing, and it was like now they're a little bit more sensible. I think the young ones coming into the dressing rooms, but no, it's good. It's good.
Oh, good stuff. And moving on to Chester Street Town in 1998, and obviously some characters in that changing room. Then I know we've seen a few pictures that Bryce had put on the Facebook group a couple of months ago. Some really good stuff. But at this point now, are you kind of settling into the Northern League?
I mean, I jumped from Wayside League to Northern League, really. And when I went to Chester, there was some experienced players there. Cookie, Greg Bainbridge, little Gary Shields, who scored loads for Chester. But the characters Bryce and Stewie Sherwood. Anybody who's met Stewie Sherwood, like he's a little nutter. He's like he's always on like tenterhooks, you know. So I went from there to Chester, and with Bryce was there as assistant player manager, and he was quality. Like even still then, he was coming to the end of his career. But he was great, you know. He was good cracking that. He was just total Mr. Football, and him and Stewie were a good mix, you know. Stewie was like little and large, really. But I enjoyed it. I was there for the season, and I enjoyed it. I done well, but it was a step up from Wayside to Northern League, to be honest. But that's what I wanted anyway. I wanted to just step up and see how far I could step up, really.
Yeah, were you with Davo at that time? Because I know Davo well. Ian Davison. Was he there at the same year?
I'm not sure. I played against Davo, but I never didn't think I played in the same side. I don't think he was at Chester when I was there. Mind, he might have been. Like my memory's ridiculous, but I don't think he was there. I think when I was there, it was like Wakey was always like left back. Because Davo was a left back, wasn't he? But like Wakey was there, and Stevie Lewis, Brycer, Mickey Carroll was still there. It was come to the end of his career as well a bit. But there was some good players there. Some good players. Enjoyed it.
That's some great, fantastic names there. But after that, from 1999 to 2003, playing for Blythe Spartans, which, like I say, it's a massive northeast non-league side, and I know he got supporters Player of the Year one season there as well. And we've seen a picture I found with Mick Tate, Hyson, Burke, Bert Robson, Pete, yourself. I mean, that must have been some great memories of the Blythe Town.
Blythe Spartans, not Blythe Town.
Blythe Town, town. I was meant to say time. Sorry.
You'll get lynched soon. No, I was. But when I was at Chester, Les Gamble was there, and John Gamble, his brother, was at Blythe, and I think that's how it come about. And I think it was the end of the season, and Blythe come in for us. It was, to be honest, it was a big step up because it was like Northern League and Unibond. Then like the pyramid system. It was like Unibond Conference, then it was league football, so it was like a massive jump, really. And I was enjoying Chester, I'll be honest. And I wasn't in two minds, but I was thinking about it, and I spoke to Hicker, and Hicker was like, "Take the lowy," which means take the money and get yourself away. That's what he's saying. That's Hicker. No, but he says, "Listen, get yourself away." He says, "Like, don't be thinking about you're enjoying it here, but you want to play like as high as you can." But I went up there with like Glenn Robson and Stephen Hutchinson. Glenn Robson was quality, and John signed us, but then he either got sacked or resigned like 3 months later. So I never really got to play much under John, really, the odd few games, and then he left. But you know, it was a jump in terms of like the quality, you know, and the fitness levels were much higher. And but no, I went. It was a good club, lad. You know, it was like great support, and like it's probably the closest you can get to a pro setup, really. Like, because like when I walked in the change room from where I was to there, all your training gear is set up, your boots is cleaned, your shin pads, your slips, like towels is all laid out for you, the training kits, and I was like, you know, this is good, you know what I mean? And the support were fantastic, man. Like when you're doing well up there, they're like really supportive, you know. Mind when you're doing bad, they also let you know about it. And it was like just little changes, like when you come off the pitch, you've got to applaud the fans and that. Whereas like we never done that, you know. And we got told that's what you've got to do. You've got to applaud the fans. But the standard was really good. Like there's a lot of like ex-pros coming down, like working their way down, and they were coming into that league, you know. Like so Chris Waddle, Sean Taylor, who played for Villa, like Grant Holt, you know, there was loads of players that were like they were top players, you know, who were coming down into that league. So it was a step up, like definitely. But you know, I enjoyed it, and I always said you want to play like as high as you can for as long as you can, really. Even if it doesn't work out, at least you've given it a go. And I mean, I was there for 5 or 6 seasons or so. So, but the only downside is like we never won much. Like we got beaten in the final. We're always sort of like trying to like get out the relegation bit and try and finish mid-table and stuff because the finances weren't really that big then. Really, Blythe weren't one of the big spenders, but they were probably the best non-league side I think around at the time. Even like the Gator, you know, Whitby, like they were probably the best side around, and it was just we had a good side. It was just a lot of young ones, and like as the years went by, we got a few lads from Darlington, released from Darlington, Hartlepool, a lot of really young side. Like later on, when John Charlton and Graham Clark were there, but like so me and Glenn like stayed, you know. But eventually, I think we just wanted a new challenge, and we left after a few years. But Glenn was quality up there. Like he had a lot of bad injuries. Glenn, like he would have been like a top player. He was a top player, like, but he would have done a lot better if he'd never getting so many injuries. But I was a big step up, like, but I just took it, you know. I just thought, why not? And I went up.
No, really good. I mean, you mentioned the step up, and you see obviously the pyramid now. You can see some of the Northern League kind of stepping up to the East and the Prem, and then a bit further. I mean, if you make that step up now and you kind of have 1 or 2 bad games, does it kind of go through your head thinking, I've stepped up a bit too far here, or is it just kind of getting at the back of your mind, pushing on and just trying to progress as much as you can, do you think?
I think it's a case of just like you've got to give it a bit of time, and like any player that's stepping up, like the level that I stepped up to, and I mean it was a big jump then. Like it's not so bad now because it's like the pyramid systems changed a lot.
Yeah.
So like the jump, like I didn't think the jumps as big. I don't think anyway. When you're jumping up from Northern League to the Northern Premier and stuff like that, and working your way up, but I think then it was just you were surrounded. Like when I went into Blythe, I was surrounded by like experienced players, you know. There was like Mickey Farry was behind us, experienced right back. There was experience all over the side, and they sort of like help you through it. If you go step up and you a lot of young ones and stuff, like it's tough. But as long as you've got like experienced lads up there to like sort of help you along the way, and your manager helps you. And to be honest, when John leaving was probably a bit of a shock because he signed us all and then he took us up there and then he sort of left a few months later. So it was like, and then I can't even remember which one come in after John Gamble, to be honest. But no, it was just a case of just knuckling down, just working hard in training and just doing. Then the day they signed you for a reason, you know what I mean? So just going out there and play the way you play and just see what happens. And you know, I think I've done well up there. I think I had a kind of relationship with the fans and stuff, and I loved the club, and I think it was a great club to play for. And it was a good times. Like we had some good laughs and good memories.
Oh, great! Not another great club as well at that time, Durham City. the 2003. And I remember that, I think it's when I started kind of watching the Northern League, and it was just some great players from literally all over the teams that were playing. Wasn't just one or two players per team, the full sides who were challenging that top half Division 1. There was some strong teams in that league. I mean, it must have been good as a player being involved in the league around that era, was it?
It was good. I think when Durham came in for me and Glenn, they were sort of pushing like the big push to win the league, but there was some big teams around, man, like Whitley Beers, like Bedlingtons, and there was some tough sides. The two Billingham sides were decent, but I think when me and Glenn signed, I mean, pretty funny story. I went in to negotiations with Glenn Robson, right? By the way, Glenn knows what he wants and he tells them what he wants. And I went to negotiations with Stewart Dawson, lovely bloke, who was chairman.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And basically showed us around the ground and they wanted, like, where we wanted to go as a club and want to win the league. And we sort of went in the boardroom or committee room, what it was called. And Glenn Robson, he says, right, Glenn, what do you want? And he told him what he wanted per week. He told him what he wanted sign-on fee, and trust us, it was a big fee then. Like, probably, I dare say, it will have been up there with the highest paid earners in the Northern League. And he shook on the deal with Glenn Robson. He just looked at me, he went, "You'll want the same, do you?" I went, "Yes, please." And I got the same deal as Glenn. I'll tell you what, you could have got me for much cheaper than that. Class. And I think they were just like they were pushing to win the league, I think, and I think we ended up runners up. And I'm not sure if I got player of the year that year, but I've done really well that season. And another story when Durham played Sunderland, I'm not sure if it was that season or the season after. It'll have been around about that season. And we played Sunderland in some sort of cup game. I think it was the under-23s. And I had a good game, like a really good game. And Mick McCarthy was manager then. And then he came to see Billy Cruddas, who was a manager. And he was asking about us, like inquiring about us. Who's this Stewart or whatever? And he was saying, how old's he? And Billy Cruddas went, "Oh, he's 32." And I was only 25 or 26 at the time. And I found out, like, later on what he'd said. Obviously, I wasn't very happy, but I think he came to then because it was like a cup game and it was like a replay. And I think he came, obviously, he watched it again the next game. And we got beat 5-0 and we barely even touched the ball. So that was the end of that. But I seen Billy Cruddas a few months ago. He was with Craig Patterson watching our game versus Washington. And I went straight over. I went, "You." And he went, "I know what you're going to say. I shouldn't have done this and this, that, and the other." They're like, who knows? But you know what I mean? I was fuming at the time, but like looking back, it's funny, like, but obviously because he didn't want us to go, and he just said, I was 32, and obviously he just thought, too old, and that was it. So I blame Billy Cruddas for everything.
Oh, two great stories. I remember watching some of the Durham games, and like you say, some of the great players that were playing at the time coming for the wayside as well. It was always a battle. There was elbows flying in, some tackles getting late left. But at that time, you always saying after the game, it was kind of handshakes. I mean, what was it like kind of going through the tunnel? Was there any kind of after-match fight, or was it just kind of right, shake hands, leave it all on the pitch?
I mean, there was niggly games. Like, I remember, obviously we're talking about Durham, but I remember at Blythe when Gus Delella played for Blythe.
Oh,
and
yes, yeah.
I think we played Hyde, who were like proper naughty side. I think from Manchester way or something, but there was a bit of niggle and he literally caused a 22-man brawl on the pitch. Well, 21, because I'd have probably been away in the showers, but honestly, it was like literally everybody was in. He just throwing punches and that, and like there was loads of niggle, like obviously down the tunnel and stuff. But I think in the north, when I went down to back down the Northern League, I mean, there was like proper tackles. I mean, I used to get tackled like chest high, Bry Row. I remember playing Whitley Beer for Durham, and Bry was my mate. I played at Blythe with Bry, and I picked it past him, obviously, because I'm not going to like try and get involved with Bry Row. And I just kicked it past him, and he just literally smashed it straight in the chest, like honestly, stud marks up here. And Kevin Wolf took us out a few times, like coming at a keeper, coming and just clattering you. But when you're naive at times, like at that level, but there was some proper tackles, man. Nowadays, you get sent off for like answering back and this, that, and the other. And it's like, back then I used to get walloped, like kicked up a height all the time, and it was like, but they were proper like hard centre halves, you know, like no nonsense centre half. Paul Coop was one of them at Chester. He used to like just he used to wear a gum shield. If a centre half's wearing a gum shield, you know you're in trouble. But I think it's different now. I think them days there was a lot more like, I mean, we all say it was better them days, like, but it was a lot more like aggression and more niggle and stuff like that. But I mean, there was elbows flying around. Hicker. I've never seen anybody elbow so much in my life as Hicker. He used to like gallop for head and just wallop, and you basically used to have to keep out of the way of people like that. Brian Rose of this world, just keep out of the way. But it was good. It was good. It was good. Good competitiveness. That's what I'll say. It was competitive then, and especially at Northern League at the time. You know, there was a lot of people vying for that top spot. You know, and even when I was at Nissan, Washington Nissan the first time, when we played with Gav Cogden and that, I think we got run up then, and it was always like competitive. You know, with Concert and teams like that. We're in that league, and Bedlington, Dunstan. You know, it was a good league, and it was full of top players, really good players.
Yeah, really, really strong. He's just asking there, Gus, did he play for Hartlepool back in the day? Didn't he? Start out when he came up for Hartlepool. Yeah.
I think he
anyone that's watching,
Hartlepool.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah. And anyone that's watching as well, just want to say a massive thank you. He's hitting double figures now, so thank you so much for tuning in. Any questions for Stewart as well? Get them. We've got our quick fire round at the end of the show as well. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button as well. But just getting back to the Northern League, Stewart, I mean, some of the teams that you've played for, RCA, Bedlington, Benfield, Nissan, Chester Street, Durham, RCA, and like you say, plenty like times challenging for the league, runners up, cup finals and stuff. Looking back, obviously, like tonight as well, you must be proud of your time in the Northern League, but it's just full of memories and players that you've played with, managers that you managed, you worked under as well. It's good times, isn't it?
I mean, obviously, looking back, like in all these, I get slated for not winning trophies and this, that, and the other. But it's just time, and I think like I moved to sides expecting to win things, and this, that, and the other just never happened. I mean, Bedlington, we had good sides. Bedlington never won out. I remember like Chan tried to get us to sign for Whitley Beer before they won all them vases. And Chan being Chan, he's like that, by the way. He is tight. So he wanted to leave Bedlington to come to Whitley Beer, and he offered us less money. Not that I was bothered about money, really, but he offered us less money to go to Whitley Beer. And obviously, looking back, they won about 4 vases or something under him or something like that. So I think, I enjoyed every spell, every team that I went to. Every team that I went to was sort of like I was sort of progressing, you know. I wasn't just moving around for money, this, that, and the other. I wanted to move, like when I went to Bedlington, you know. Bedlington's got a good history, and I thought would win stuff there, but just never happened. Maybe it's me. Maybe I go to these clubs and I just don't win a thing.
We've got to mention the Bedlington. I know we've had a couple of players on that's mentioned the trip. I mean, just talk us through. I mean, Mr. Rich comes. I remember watching the BBC program, and it was amazing. But what was it like to be involved in it all?
It was surreal, ridiculous. Like, I know, like I probably speak to lads quite a bit about it, but until you were actually there, you wouldn't realise what it was like. It was literally ridiculous. It was just like a whirlwind. It was 10 days, like all inclusive. We never paid for a thing really. We had like an entertainment team following us around in the nightclubs, like putting cards behind the bar, and we're just like, it was literally like a 10 days a party really. And then we trained the next day. When we went out, we trained, and it was just like, I mean, it was ridiculous. Like Bob Richards, a lovely bloke and all, and he took us to his sort of mansion. It was like a mansion, but it was like his house, and it had like 7 other houses on the plot. And we were like looking around, and he had squash courts, like swimming pools, boat and dock, like a dock and beer with for his boat in and stuff like that. But the whole trip was just like ridiculous, and like you kind of put your finger on it. Like we just used to think like, "It's what's happening here." It was just, I mean, when we got there was like the hotel was just full of people chanting Bedlington Terriers, and we were like, Bedlington Terriers, and like there was people in supermarkets asking for your autograph and that, and we were like, "What's happening there?" But as a trip itself, like it was like a funny trip, you know. I was in a room with Andrew Dugdale. And like he just signed, and we went there, and I was room with him. I mean, I was kind of quiet, and he's an absolute nutcase, by the way. And we got on really well through the trip, and it was just surreal experience. I remember in Niagara Falls, like they literally treated us like kings over there, like, and everybody. There was some fans went over, the committee went over, and there was some lads who never went, and we were thinking you've missed out, like, because I still keep in contact with Pete Snowden was over there, and Stewie Elliott, Brassy come over, Bowser. Like, Brassy come over for the freebie. He hadn't even signed for us then. He come over for the freebie. And when we come back, I think we signed him. And but I was just, the documentary is just, it doesn't really like show you what it was 100% like. It was just surreal, the full trip, and it was just, I'm pleased I'd done it, and it was something, if I'd never done it, I'd regretted it. And it was just a proper surreal experience, and one I'll never forget, I'll be honest.
No, it was fantastic. I've always remember watching it. It was fantastic. Like, Ian was mentioned Stephen Stewart, the quickest winger he's ever seen, streamlined by his hairline. That's
that water.
Me in there. And Ian Barnes just asking questions to it. Did you ever play against a player called Stephen Holbrook? He used to play for Gateshead back in the day, if you remember.
Stephen who?
Holbrook.
Stephen Holbrook. I played against Gateshead quite a few times, to be honest. It was like a bit of a rivalry, a bit of a derby game. They were good games, but I can't remember that name, to be honest. I might have done like a say, my memory's ridiculous. I know McAlinden. I remember playing against McAlinden. He was at Gateshead, and Tomer and people like that. But Holbrook. And I'm more of a face man. I'll recognise the face, but some of them.
And mention some of the teams obviously that you played for, but I can imagine as well some top managers that you've worked under. But with all the teams that you've been to, was it kind of different managers, different kind of ideas and ways that they came across in them changing rooms?
Yeah, I think when you go into different clubs, you've got a different style of manager. It's got somebody who's like a character and he like gets on rather lads and galvanises the team that way, or you've got somebody who's like tactically astute and stuff like that. But I've had a bit of a mixture, to be honest. I went to Preston for a few months, like on loan. I was just travelling down, playing games, and I stayed down there for a couple of weeks. And David Moyes was my reserve team manager, and it was weird because like he was an ex-player sort of thing, and I was playing in a room, and he was giving me travelling expenses for travelling down and stuff like that. Looking back, I just didn't, it's David Moyes, but he wasn't like David Moyes what he is now, you know what I mean? But no, it's just different managers. He was like a stern shouter and a organiser sort of thing. And like Stewie Sherwood was just a maniac. He was just like a spinning top. And obviously I played on like Suarez, Bowser when he was at Benfield, and Keith Perry and Tony, they're all different types of managers, but they're all great lads. I got on with. There's not many managers I didn't get on with really throughout my career, so I've got no complaints. Graham Clark and John Charlton, they were a good laugh. John was more of a character, and Graham was like serious coach about his like. And you learn a kind of bit from Graham, to be honest. He's a top coach actually. And when we went to Blythe, he was good on that side of it. Like, and he liked the banter as well. Like, we should take the mick out of him and that. Or all different characters, different characters for different teams. And I think when you've got a decent character, like people want to play for you, you know what I mean? If you're like staunch and angry all the time and this, that, and the other, then you don't want to play for you. But luckily, I've had some decent managers like who I love playing for.
Yeah, we're going to mention as well, come to the end of last year, and some team that was at the time as well. Did you enjoy your spell there?
I loved it, to be honest. I was I'm not sure where I leave Durham. I think I left or somewhere, because I went to Durham a couple of times. I went under Chan, and I think Suarez asked us to come as like player assistant. But I was coming to the end of my career anyway. So, but that's something I wanted to get into, like, because I've always wanted like the management side of it and stuff. So he asked us to come in as like be assistant with Jay at the time. And we've got a really good side there, like Larks and Ross Preston, Swanner. We had a properly like PG, Dylan Elliott. I think when we had that side, when we finished, I think we finished top 4 or 5 in the league, and I think it's the furthest we finished in the Vars. And we had a really good side there. We just the ambition. I felt the ambition of the club wasn't there. It was like they didn't want to go up. You know what I mean? But I get it. It's like financially, they didn't want to like step up to the next level because it was a lot traveling, and it wasn't like it is now. It was like you were traveling all over Manchester, Liverpool, like now when you step up from Northern League, it's pretty much like a Northern League from years ago. With all the local sides, and that was probably one of the reasons that like I was there for a couple of seasons, and I just sort of came away and just had a couple of years out to concentrate on my son's like development, watch him develop sort of thing, because he was at the age, and I just wanted to concentrate on him. But a little bit of it was like ambition. The ambition of the club wasn't really. I mean, we had that side we had there. We should have kicked on and progressed and stuff like that. And I don't know. There was other factors why I left, but in terms of like enjoyment, I enjoyed like working with Swaz and G, and then when Mark Cowan come in, and we had a really good side and like good lads as well. Hodgie was there, great centre half, centre mid, and it was just like the forwards we had, like Sparty was there, and then Nathan O'Neill, and like that was a side we should have really progressed with, and like built on it. But it was when you're speaking to people involved in the club and they're not wanting to really like step up and progress, it's like, what's the point really? Like you just want to like stay in the league and just tread water sort of thing. So we had some good laughs, some good characters in that dressing room as well. Like funny G's like proper prankster, and you had like just some good lads. And Clayton Davis was always playing tricks. Like I remember when he loves this story. Like I just bought these white socks to go underneath me football. So I was still playing then. And I was saying, new socks, like, I'm just getting them. So I went to pick a team with Swaz in the room. It was Dunstan. And I come back and everything was silent. I was like, it's a bit weird, like. So I pulls me socks on him, and my sock hands right up my shin, and he cut the bottom of my socks. And Johnny Davis was filming it. So Clayton, all the Davises are wrong uns. Johnny, Clayton, Ash Davis. If you hears Davis, you're wrong. But no, that was where it was. Now, like good crack in the dressing room, and like we got Swanner with a fake like scratch card once. G got him 50 grand. He thought he'd won. He was jumping around like a loony, and like just little things like that. We had a good dressing room. It was good crack. You enjoyed going there. And like end of the day, that's what you want to be involved in football for. Especially like on the management side, you want a good dressing room. And when you finish playing, you just what you're doing for the crack. You're doing it for like the group that you've got, and that RCA group, like I say, with Johnny Davis was playing in that side as well, and it was a good side, and it was a side we should have really like pushed on and moved on with, but didn't happen.
I mean, you said it's helping out with the RCA assistant before obviously being manager at West End. Did you enjoy your early time in management?
I did. It was like obviously I had a couple of years out and just concentrating on my son's football really, and then I got approached by Bondi. Bondi I was on a night out, and he says, "Well, you're not fancy it?" And like I heard Russia was going in for the job, and obviously we both went in together. And it was like it was a good challenge. It was one of them where I wanted to get back into it. I'd missed it. I'd missed the dressing room like atmosphere, and like the week to week. I wasn't doing. I was just going to watch my son, and I was managing him, and I just wanted to get back into men's footy really, and rather than just be surrounded with like kids footy, I just wanted to get back into that dressing room, and we took it. It was a bit of a project, and I enjoyed it. I must admit, like I knew a lot of the lads there, like Gaz Gettins, Nelly, Davey, Bondi, and I didn't know Daz Little, but he's a great lad as well, and he works really hard for that club, and it was good. Like Cookie was there. Players who I'd played with like on a Sunday years ago, and I knew them all sort of thing. So for me, I went in and it was it was a project. Me and Russia went in, and I mean Russia got rid of Russia kind of early, really, to be honest. Like I think work commitments and what have you. He was struggling with work commitments, and I mean Russia's like Mr. Laid Back, like I mean everything comes to him, and he's like I remember when we were like. Obviously, because we're trying to rebuild the side, I think they finished fourth bottom or something, and we're like, "Listen, we've got to get our fingers out here. We've got like a limited budget. And I remember saying to Russia, I said, Russia, we need to get our fingers out and start ringing loads of people. He went, don't worry about it. The players will come to us. And I was like, eh? I think he thought players were going to just knock on our door saying, I can't wait to play for you. And it wasn't the case, you know what I mean? But that's Russia. He's like laid back. It's so laid back. But what a player he was, by the way. Great player, Russia. And he's still a good mate of mine now. You know, he winds us up all the time. And I saw Len Bry come in, and it was a case of we had a good group then. You know, I mean, we had a limited budget, but we had players who, some of them were playing for now, some of them weren't bothered about money, and it was a case of just we had a good group, we had a good dressing room, and we're doing well. It was like, I think we were top four pretty much all the season, and then it was only till the last 5 or 6 games where we sort of fell off the cliff a bit. Loads of factors, really. I mean, young Owen Imerson was sort of bursting into the scene. Really, he had a really good couple of months, 3 or 4 months, when he scored a lot of goals, and then he got injured, and then it's just you get injuries and suspensions, and then it's tough towards the end when you need the points and stuff like that. And I think we ended up 9th, and it was a bit disappointing. It was a good first season. I think Gaz Gettins and Nelly said to me, you learned plenty in the first year, and like I learned a lot in the first year. I think when you speak to players and they say, "Oh, I'll come," and then you get the job and they say, "I'm not coming." You know what I mean? And you're like, ah, you said you were coming, but so that's one thing you learn about managing. But it's like it is like a full-time job. Like you're never off the phone. And it's just constant, but I loved it. And we finished 9th, and I think the people at the club were a bit disappointed with 9th. But like I think when you take stock of where we finished with, you know, the budget we had, and we had a limited budget. And by the way, the limited budget, everybody works really hard to get that budget. Like it's not like it's a lot of money, you know what I mean? And it's like it's just tough when you've got to pay players a certain amount, and then somebody comes in for your players and he offers you 20 quid more on their away, and it's like a constant rebuild, really. And that was my problem with the second season. I think we lost a lot of players left, and it was like money's got a lot to do with it. You know, they left for money or a so-called better side, and then you're sort of rebuilding again. But the first season was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The second season we got a lot of young lads in, and it's a risk when you get a lot of young lads in, stepping up from like under 18s to men's Northern League football. And it's like, in an ideal world, I'd rather have like more experienced lads around these young ones. But I mean, some of them were quite. Ollie Thompson, he's in Gateshead or something now, and he was a quality little player. And we got a lot from Seaton Carew under 18s when Stevie Patton was there, and Stevie Cocker, who's obviously managers now. We got a lot of players from there, and the second season was a struggle, but the first season was, yeah, I enjoyed it. It was a good dressing room. Like we beat Easington twice, and like they become our rivals really, because like our sides were like, some of them played for us and like sort of went from side to side.
Yeah.
So it was like obviously Delta's my good mate, and he was assistant, so it become like a bit of a rivalry, you know. And like that's what I put that video on Twitter when we beat Easington the second time, and like because they were expecting to beat us really, like we were the underdogs, and we beat them. And I put the video on Twitter, and I was like, he didn't speak to us for 3 months, Delta, because of beating and that. But after in the dressing room, you know, everything was like so buzzing, you know. It's like just a little club, you know, a little new club really, and Easington's been around for years, you know what I mean. And it was just, I was like a bit of a rivalry there, and it was good, you know. I enjoyed it. I was thinking about the first season. The second season just didn't work out really, and like when they got, I would never have walked, to be honest. I would have wanted to see it out, but I think I was struggling to get players. You know, the players was letting us down. I was just struggling to get players in really, and it was tough. But it is what it is, you know what I mean. It's football. You just got to get on with it. And
frustrating a lot of times, isn't it?
It is frustrating, and like it's not so bad when I'm assisting now, but like Bowser against Stewart, you know, like players see they kind of make it. Or when I was at West End, some players weren't turning up, and it was like you're like, some of them you question whether they wanted to, you know what I mean. But the first season everybody was buzzing. I think the second season was just a struggle, you know. It was tough when you're losing like top players through the spine of your side, you know. And it was like was hard to recover that. But nah, good times, good club, fond memories, and but that's the way it is, unfortunately.
Yeah, Ian, just want to put a comment there, Darlow fan, just on about the boost the budget and stuff. 140k plus now, we just mentioned in Dalton. Fantastic game by the sport. It must be nice to have a budget like that today, mustn't it?
140k a
Every
week.
time.
Jesus,
From the boost the budget, absolutely amazing. Support by the Darlow fans again. But getting back to the Northern League, and obviously now being a part of the West End committee, and I was kind of sitting down, and when you look at things now, and you've got West End, you've got CM Red Star, RCA, obviously Riot, Fold, and Ongo, and you kind of look at the area, and you're kind of thinking, why is there not one club that's kind of gone up the football pyramid, like a big area like Sunderland? It's sad to see, really, isn't it?
it is. I think when we had RCA, there was like a lot. Most of them were local lads. There was only a few that was outside the area, and obviously RCW had a great side, with Gaz and Stewie Gooden and what have you. And I'm not sure what's happened, but I think a lot of it's finances. I'll be honest, because like some of the sides that's sort of Stockton, where your Redkers and this that, the money they've got is like ridiculous, really, when you think about it. But Sunderland, I'm not sure. All the Sunderland players now like go outside the area, and it's a shame. But like once RCW goes, and then RCA was struggling, and CM's the only one really. That's keep going. But they have had the troubles. They have had the troubles over the years. They have had an up and down sort of history. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure what it is, but I think is it local businesses not getting on board? Is it like sponsorships? What it's down to? And a lot of these clubs now have went up the ladder. Have got good sponsors, but they've got a lot of like financial backing with people who's at the club. Like you look at where Shields are and Stockton. You look at Stockton and where they've come, and fair play to them. They've done it the right way. But when you've got teams, like Mosque, when they go up and they can't afford it and they come back down, North Shields have done it. I think, but you look at Stockton and them, and that's like this stable. Dunson's always a well-run club, and they've always, I've always got decent budgets. But that's a shame. Like it's a shame when all the Sunderland sides are sort of either going out of extinction or like struggling and stuff, and it's sad, really. Like, because I mean, RCA is just around literally walking distance around the corner, and they were struggling, but I think it's all about finance. It's ridiculous now. Like it is literally all about years ago, it was like you play for like your manager, or you play for who's at the club, or your mates with the club, or play for them. But a lot of it's now finance, and it's like other teams can offer a hell of a lot more money, come outside the area, and unfortunately, I mean, it's you spend half your week at these clubs, and training and games, and it's got to be worth your while, like financially, in terms of traveling. That so. I think that's basically what it's down to. I think it's down to finances, unfortunately.
Yeah, I think it's a job like putting. I mean, I'm just laughing on with Dom last night from Easton, and he was just asking how did you kind of go about getting the Club 25 thing set up. I know he's trying to do something similar at Easton.
I've seen how they're doing similar.
Yeah, and I says, well, what I did is I spent one full Monday literally walking up every single street, Hilton Road, Chester Road, with a pen and paper, writing the names down of every shop, getting back Facebook message. Says, not a chance of man doing that, but it's little things you've got to do now just to try and get an extra sponsor for the door. It all helps, doesn't it?
It is, and that's what you've got to get all the local businesses on board. Like give them plenty of. I mean, you coming on board with the committee at West End, I mean, they'll be loving that because you'll get the exposure of social media, and social media is like massive for any club now. It's like a shop window for businesses, shop window for football clubs, and it's like that's what you've got to just put yourself out there, and you're relying on volunteers and people like yourselves to get out there and put the word out, really, and try and get these local businesses on board. And I think Burtley's done it, but that's what Burtley done, really. They've just got a lot of businesses in, and like they're flying now. They nearly got promoted and stuff. And so you look at them, Burtley's blueprint, and you think, it is possible, and it's not just about having a rich owner or whatever. It's about getting local businesses on board and getting them involved in the club, and that's how you, like you say, how you get the money through the door. And that's the end of the day. What drives these clubs up? You need the finances to get the club where they need to be.
There was a few companies that day had me notepad and pen, and when I was walking near the shop, they couldn't get in quick enough. I think they thought I was coming for tax or coming for something else. They couldn't get in quick enough. I think a little bit worried. But looking at the last season as well with Chester Street Town, I know we had you on the show chatting about halfway through the season, but what a fantastic season that you had. But looking now at the season, I know we had Ollie on last week and he kind of said the playoffs, what was the point in literally having the playoffs when two teams went up? It would have been nice possibly to try and get another team involved, which would have been yourselves at the time. But overall, a great season, wasn't it?
I mean, obviously at the time, like, it was disappointing. We were gutted and we thought, that's a failure, really. But when you step back and let the dust settle in that, it was a progressive season, and I think we look back now, and we were 2 points off the playoffs, and we tossed a lot of games away, and we've got a young side, and we had a really young side last year, experience in areas as well, like, but a lot of young lads, and it was like game management at times, like decision making sometimes, like when you go on experienced play, you just turn it around and put it in the corner and stuff like that and waste a bit of time. And we tossed a few games away the last minute, and obviously there's other reasons why we lost them, like, well, I'm not going to get into it, but you can't complain. You've got to just try and sort your end out and try and make sure that you're up there. But we're 2 points away, and like, it was progressive from where we were last season, and as long as we keep progressing, that's what you want. But the end goal is to get promoted, and like, we've just got to make sure we try and keep all of the players we've got, which is going to be tough, and the key players, and try and just build on it, and try and get in at least the playoffs. That's got to be aim for next season. But it's going to be tough. Horton's going to be up there again. You're going to be, all the new sides coming in are going to be chomping at the bit, like Hartlepool last year, Yarm last year had good seasons. The Billingham teams will be up there, so it is going to be tough again. But that's the thing with this league, and people say, like, oh, the standard's not this and the standard's not that. But most teams are at similar standards and similar type of budgets this season, I think. I mean, last season, Blythe, they were head and shoulders, and they've got a great backer, and Blue Star were flying in the early side, and Easing, Easing's done really well, but they were good too. We had 2 good games against them. They were quality. But I think this season is going to be the same. It's going to be competitive, and it's going to be tough. But you've just got to try and minimise the blips you have. Like, we had a couple of blips, like quite bad blips, and I think that's probably cost us in the end. I think we left it too late to try and charge up, and that's why we fell short. We fell short for a reason, and injuries to our strikers. Clarkey came and then he done his shoulder, and like, we got McBride in probably a little bit too late. There's plenty of factors, but there's a lot of young lads there, and hopefully they stay and help us progress, and we get some more experience in. I think that's what we're looking at for next season. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, definitely. I think we had the show last week, and all 3 managers kind of said when they came out, they had all the logos, the teams that's in the division. There wasn't kind of a standout team saying, well, they'll just walk the league where it looks really open this season. I can imagine a lot of managers looking at it saying, we've got half a chance here of finishing high up.
I think everybody's thinking that. I think some big sides went out this league, I'm pleased for Ollie, to be honest, because I thought Easing played some good stuff. They've got a good side, attractive football. They've got some good players there, and I'm pleased they went up. Obviously, the other 2 were massive spenders, and they were obviously nailed on to get up. But I think everybody's looking at this league this year and thinking, we'll win that, or we'll definitely be up there. And I think that's what's going to make it more. People think it's going to be an easy league, but I think it'll be more difficult, because everybody can, like, the top 10 teams, everybody can beat everybody. And it's going to be tough, and it's going to be a slog, and we'll just have to wait and see, won't we?
That'll be an interesting season. We're finishing with our quick fire. I'm really looking forward to this one. So 5 questions that we ask each guest that comes on. Start with number 1. Who'd be the best manager that you worked under, and why?
That's a tough one, that, because each manager is different, and it's like,
yeah.
Well, can I say David Moyes? Is that allowed or not?
Yeah.
I must admit, I think I enjoyed, like, playing under John Charlton and Graham Clark. That was like, you progress more with them, I think. And Stewart and Bryce was enjoyable and all. Even Swaz, like when I played with Swaz, it was good crack. He gets the mick took out of him all the time. Like, but he's dedicated. When he's a manager, he's dedicated to that role. Like, so they're all got different strengths. You know what I mean? But I'm going for David Moyes.
Number 2, the best teammate that you played with, and why?
Oh, God, that is really
What's
hard.
again?
It's like when you're trying to pick your top 11, it's impossible. Like, I mean, as a winger, you look at the fullbacks you played with, and Mickey Farry, when I went there, was quality. Paddy Little was a quality right back. I mean, centre mids, like, it's ridiculous. Bowser was quality. Like, some of the centre mids that I played with was ridiculous. But forward, I look at if you're a winger, I look at the forwards that I'm playing with, and Glenn Robson, Brassy, Shandy, Alex Benjamin was prolific. Gav Cogden, yes. Paul Baker. When I was at Blythe, I played with Bakes for a bit. I know this is quick fire, like, so I'm going with Colin Larkin. Quality Colin, like you put him anywhere on the pitch, and he's unbelievable player, like unbelievable attitude, application, everything. So he's definitely the best player I've played with. I think Larks.
Oh, good shot, that one. Number 3, best opposition player that you've played against who just couldn't get the better of.
I mean, I played against Chris Waddle. Like, I remember playing. We was at the Sheffield side at the time, and he'd done that same trick, that step over. Then, and I was watching him. I was thinking, right, I know exactly what he's doing. And he done his little trick, got a cross in, and they scored. And I was thinking, how is that even possible? But he was quality. Arca, when Arca was at Shields, he was class.
Oh.
But in terms of probably like Northern League level, Paul Robbo was. I always thought Paul Robbo was a class player at Whitley Bay, centre mid. I always looked at Robbo and thought he was a quality player. Robbo was quality.
Oh, great shout as well. Your best footballer moment?
Oh, do you know what it is? When I was at Blythe and we played Newcastle, they had some of the top players, Katzbayer, Didier Domi, and all them were playing, and I played a half for Blythe, and I was up against Didier Domi, and I tortured him for 45 minutes. Like, I'm not just saying that, I did. And Bobby Robson came in the change room at half time with Domi's shirt, and he pointed at them, and he gave us a hug and all that, and he gave us Domi's shirt. I like it. And I mean, Bobby Robson was like a legend, you know what I mean? Even though I'm a Sunderland fan, and all the lads were trying to get the top of us. I went, no, I'm keeping it. And I think that is a moment, because it was Bobby Robson, he was like a legend. And the fact that I'd done so well against a top player like Didier, that's probably I enjoyed that moment in terms of on the football pitch.
Class. And I bet you've got plenty of these ones, but number 5, your best funny football moment that you've been involved in or seen?
God. There's loads, you know what I mean? There's loads outside, on the pitch sort of thing. Funniest moment on the pitch.
Changing rooms, bus rides, anything, yeah.
Oh God, there's people stripping off on buses and all that stuff. There was loads of that went on, changing room stuff, like pranks and stuff. But I look back at there was a time when I was at Nissan and Paddy Little was playing, and he got walloped in this challenge, and I think it's the John's ambulance come on and everything, and he was on a stretcher, and he had the gas in there. And we were worried about him, thinking, "My God, is he all right?" sort of thing. And we went over to him, and he sort of got his mask off, and with his last breath, he went, "Can you get me beer packets for us?" And we were like, "Eh?" He literally on death's door, and he was worried about his beer packet, because he is another. Ian Chandler and Paddy Little are the tightest men in the world, by the way. And so we thought he was dying, and he's "Make sure you get me packets for us." So that was funny, looking back.
Brilliant, man. But no, Stephen, honestly, thank you so much for coming tonight. Hope you enjoyed this. Great career, and like you said, it's always nice to go back over your times, and I hope, like you say, you've had a good time going back over them. And
I cannot believe nobody's put on about me trophies. Yeah, we haven't mentioned trophies once in this whole thing, have we?
They were giving it all this before the show.
All trophies is just insulation for your loft, mate. Don't worry about trophies. Enjoy your football, have a laugh, and play for who you want.
Brilliant, man. But no, again, everyone that's been watching, obviously, thank you so much, as always, and for your support throughout the season as well. Like I say, this is now the last show up until Wednesday the 10th of July. I didn't think I had any shows booked in, but I think I've already got 2 booked in for July already. People asking to come on already, so really looking forward to getting back to getting involved in that. But I hope you all enjoy your summer. I know, Stephen, you're probably as busy as already, signing players, getting players tapped up as well, so it's always a busy time for managers. But like you say,
on Wednesday. Benidorm on Wednesday after a week with some of the footy lads. Do that first.
Plenty funny stories after that one.
Definitely, yes. Goodness.
Excellent. But no, thank you, Stephen. I hope, like you say, everyone that's been watching, I hope you enjoy your summer as well.